Hello, everybody, and Katie, who just joined us. Welcome to the first Chocolate Fascination live stream. There's a lot of Chocolate Society people joining us and a few people who aren't in the Choc Soc. So, welcome to the new people. For the people here that don't know me, I'm Brian Ruggles, the president of the Utah Chocolate Society and the founder of Chocolate Fascination. And before we get started, if you haven't already, I would love it if you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. That way, any future live streams and videos we do, you'll get notified of. And I've got a lot of stuff coming in the works. Let's go ahead and bring DeAnn on. We click back in. There we go. Tonight, I am joined by DeAnn of Solstice. You can wave hi, DeAnn. They can see you now.
Hi.
Solstice Chocolate
Hey.
is local here in Salt Lake Valley. I think I got to your shop yesterday in 12 or 13 minutes from my house. I was only speeding a
Wow.
little bit. Let's see, you went big time in 2013, I believe. And
Yeah, when we started.
okay, and you've been racking up lots of awards since then, and more than a few diehard fans in the chocolate scene here in Utah. And
Yep, I think so.
mostly dark chocolate bars for the first while, and then you started adding some dark milk and white bars.
Yes.
So, welcome, DeAnn. And
Thank you.
if you want to give us a little more background on yourself and your company.
Um, so this year is 7 years in business. Basically started with love of chocolate.
Good.
And from there, a hobby turned into a business.
Nice.
That's the quick version.
And so you love chocolate, and now
Yes.
you've got these international relationships with cacao growers and chocolate eaters all over the world.
Yeah,
A to
it's
B. It
fun.
makes sense. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm kind of curious because your chocolate has such a distinctive style where it's not a secret that one of my favorite fake words is Madagascariest. When I'm describing your Madagascar, it just, from my experience of all the Madagascar bars I've tasted, it's the one that has the most specific Madagascar character right in the chocolate. But it's kind of true with all your bars. They have such a distinct characteristic of the individual
Mm.
beans. I mean, you don't need to share like your detailed secrets, but what's your approach to do that?
I don't know if there's an approach. Just roast it till it tastes good.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny because,
And to bring out those flavors.
yeah,
Yes.
it's not a
But
given.
I don't no, I don't like to mask it. So you gotta just bring it out.
Right on.
Yeah.
How many iterations of roast do you have to try before you feel like you get it right, typically?
Um Now not very many. Like I can taste it raw and kind of figure out from there what I want to do. I've done it enough that
Huh.
I can kind of pinpoint. I tweak it a little bit here and there.
Interesting.
But yeah.
That's funny. So it's some kind
It's
of like,
becoming easier.
right.
It's not this big ordeal anymore.
You've built
To,
up some intuition, it sounds like. Like, it doesn't
I
sound like
guess
something you're
if
going to
that's
be
what
able
you call
to.
it.
I mean, is it something you could quantify and like tell? Is that something you could pass on to people if it came to that? Or is it something that,
I don't know. I think it just comes with experience, just doing it so much over and over and over that just becomes kind of easy.
right on?
Well, if that's the right word. But
Well, all right, it makes sense. I mean, um, Sherry's pointing out that the bean flavor in your chocolate is so pronounced, but it's not like eating a raw bean, right? It tames the crazy parts, and it really highlights the unique characteristics of those beans. And some of the things like some scientists have done these studies about people that are really good in their various fields, and a lot of what they do, they can't qualify or quantify. They just kind of do it in autopilot because they've internalized the mechanisms.
Yeah, I kind of see that. Yeah, but with making chocolate, like the roasting portion, even just 1 or 2 degrees makes a huge difference in what you're doing. So I mean, it's really critical.
Wow.
I mean, 5 degrees, you'll be completely different.
Huh.
Flavors will come out, or you'll mask them. So
Is that the same with time? Like 30 seconds, does that make as big an impact?
Well, it probably depends on the method you're using to roast.
Okay.
But for me, it's temperature usually, like the final temperature of the beans.
Okay. I would imagine that your roasting method plays into the flavor of your beans.
Probably.
Do you are you happy with the way that you're doing? Are there things that you'd like to change, but you're kind of like, this is the way that I do it?
No.
No? Good.
I like the way it's going.
I like it too. I was just curious.
Yeah.
That checks out.
I mean, it works well. It works well. It is harder to expand and grow and keep things the same.
Right.
But so far, it's gone well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, are there, with the way your style is and bringing out such like a strong characteristic of those beans, especially kind of on the brighter end for a lot of them, not all, obviously, are there particular types of beans that you gravitate towards? Are you biased towards the really fruity, bright beans? Or is it just kind of, like, how do you choose your beans?
Just try them and see what I like. I like different. Don't want. I personally prefer more earthy.
Okay.
When I'm eating, but I like all of them. But if they were all out, I would start going for things that are more earthy than fruity.
Interesting.
But I love those as well.
Right.
Like the Tanzania we'll talk about. Once I start eating that, but I like it because kind of whatever mood I'm in is what I,
right.
can eat.
And you've got access to all of it.
Yes.
How much of your chocolate doesn't make it to a package? Be honest.
Most of it does.
Okay.
If it falls on the floor, it's mine.
Falls on the floor. You have very clean floors.
Whoops.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Oops. Oh, that fell on the floor.
Totally an accident. I got to remember that next time I visit you. Just go full.
Accidentally drop.
Oh, yeah. Just go full bowl in a china shop. Like, oh, no, oh, oops. Oh, man, hitting the microphone. Sorry, everybody. That was an accident. Well, I'm kind of curious now, like, how many different, how many people approach you about using beans, like weekly or monthly? How often does this come up now?
Oh, I get emails constantly.
Really?
Yeah, saying these beans are being offered and whatnot. So
cool.
Yeah.
Are there any of them that just from the email you're like, no?
No.
Oh, that's kind of you.
Don't ask me things like that.
You don't have to lay any of it out. You don't have to tell anybody. Also, we got a Zach Hale that loves your chocolate.
There are emails that come in where I say no.
Really? Now, what are there particular like red flags that you're like, this right here, no way? I'm gonna go ahead and say it. No. I don't like Ivory Coast cocoa beans.
Well, I didn't want to say it, but yeah, there's certain countries, if it comes in, I don't even look at it.
Well, it wasn't very long ago that I would have said that about Ghana, but now I can't
really?
Because there's some really good Ghana out there.
Yeah.
And actually, Ghana was, I mean, it wasn't all that long. Well, I guess when I started the Chocolate Society, there wasn't any mainland Africa cacao that I wanted to eat.
Yeah.
And now there's a bunch.
It wasn't even available, though. I mean, there was Madagascar.
Well, good cacao, right? Ivory Coast has been very available.
Oh, okay. Well, I meant in what we're doing.
Yes, our space. Well, Ghana is such a huge cacao producer, so most of the beans there are garbage, right? So how do you find good Ghana? I say garbage. That's pretty rough.
I don't
Forget that this is going to the whole internet.
Yes.
Most
Well,
Ghana is subpar.
Well, Ghana's a little different. And that's like a whole nother thing, how cacao is networked there. So yeah,
I
we
know.
don't want to get into that right now. There's like a central
Right.
location the government's involved, so it's hard to, but there are smaller farms from what I know, but that may be wrong as well. So
the good production, it sounds like, is definitely the minority there. Is that right?
possibly.
Possibly.
You're asking me things that if I say what I think, it might not be accurate. So don't do that to me, Brian.
You're pleading the fifth on me? So I know that without necessarily naming all of them, I know that we've recently gotten to try cacao from a few different African countries. Are there more that you've tried that you've not let me try? You don't have to name them. Just I'm kind of curious, like how much of Africa is producing cacao?
A lot.
Like the whole tropical region? Wow. So I've got a question here from Emily Steck. She is wondering how you determine if you like a bean. Like, so you mentioned that when you taste it raw, you've got a good idea of what it can be when you roast it and make chocolate out of it. Do you wait until you make the chocolate to determine that?
Yes, but so some beans are awful raw, but you make them into chocolate and you're like, this is really good.
Really?
And then sometimes they taste okay raw, excuse me, and you make them into chocolate and you're just like, why did I waste any sugar in that or any my time?
Yeah. I've made some terrible chocolate.
Yeah. But most of the time you can tell when it's raw.
Right.
You can't necessarily tell what it will turn out like.
Right.
Which is part of the fun. I call it playing with chocolate. And I love when I get to do test batches. So
what do you do with the chocolate that doesn't turn out good? Do you just throw it away? Do you make stuff with it?
Feed it to Chocolate Society.
You heard it here, guys.
They'll eat anything. No.
That's true. We will. We'll just trust you.
I'm totally joking. Well, one Chocolate Society where I made the chocolate from the purple beans that weren't fermented properly. And everybody tried it, and one guy's like, hey, this is kind of good. I like this. And everybody else was just like, are you kidding? Spitting it out. So anyway.
It's good.
I'm joking. I love Chocolate Society and all the weird stuff that goes on there.
Oh, we're so weird. I'm realizing now, like, I hadn't really thought about this until we went live. I'm like, wait a minute. When this is done, it's staying up. So I've got to...
You can't pull it down.
Well, I can, but I want to leave it up. So I'm just realizing I need to be more careful than normal. Oh, well.
Well, and right before when we did the podcast, I could make gestures to you across the room or tell you not to ask me something and can't
and I
do
could
that
cut
now.
it out later.
Now people can see us.
Or I could leave in that you were making perhaps rude gestures, because I believe you flipped me off when I was podcast interviewing you. I don't think I deserved it.
What?
Probably. Yeah, you're like, no, not me.
You did.
I never deserved it. Yeah, totally. Well, let's talk about...
Okay.
Oh, man, that's so...
Oh, that looks yellow. I was
Yeah.
going to say.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Hopefully...
Yeah.
Did that turn out
Actually,
better?
don't you want to... Yes. You don't want to start with the other one first?
The Wasatch?
This one?
Yeah, let's do Wasatch. Let's both hold
First,
it up.
and then we'll do... There you go.
Everyone look at it.
And by the way, Wasatch is the name of the mountains on the east side of the Salt Lake Valley.
Where the cacao is grown.
And runs along.
Just
I
kidding.
just want to clarify. Cacao does not grow here.
How often do you get asked that?
all the
Because it's more
time.
than never.
All the time. Yeah, quite often.
I think
But some people are joking.
years ago, I think I was helping with a farmer's market, and
Hmm.
I was giving people some Wasatch, and people were like, "Wow, I didn't realize that cacao or cocoa grew here in Utah." And I was like, I kind of would mix it up. Sometimes I'd say, "Oh, that's just a name because we blend it here," and then other times I would say, "Yeah, it does."
Right.
Yeah, because I like social
Yeah.
experiments. This is not
Yeah.
news to
Right.
anybody.
Well, and I always say, I mean, you can't just say blend. It's a blend. People
Right.
be like, "What's blend?"
Yeah,
Call it blend. But if you're from Utah, it's either Wasatch, Beehive, or Uinta.
that's
Those
true.
are the names everybody uses.
That's
So
true.
I liked Wasatch, and so
Nice.
it worked.
So tell us
But
about
I
the
chose this
blend.
one
What is it?
for tonight. Well, this is our bestseller, so that's why I chose to throw this one. You wanted one more besides the Tanzania bars, so
That's true. I did.
this one is our most popular. So,
So what? How consistent is the recipe for it?
so it does change as cacao comes and goes, um, but I keep it earthy. So we first started with this. We wanted something that was our own,
Right.
that we blended to be something we wanted instead of just single origin
Ah.
bars. And sometimes, well, and things have changed. I mean, I'm talking, a few years ago, we did farmers markets before we even went into business
Right.
full time. So just people would say, I don't like dark chocolate. And so we just wanted to blend something that just made a really nice dark chocolate that would show people how good it can be,
Right.
not bitter like people think, and just something that was very nice and mellow and chocolatey.
Nice.
Not fruity, not, but it does change as time goes on. I used to put Bolivia in it, but Bolivia is so hard to come by.
Okay.
And so Bolivia has not been in there for a while. I recently, well, not recently, maybe a year ago, started putting Cameroon in with it,
Oh, nice.
which is really nutty. So that worked well with it.
For
And
the
so it does
deeper
change.
flavors.
Just it's kind of my do whatever I feel like, and if it tastes good, then I'll do it.
Do you measure the ratios going in, or just the overall nibs going in?
Yeah, well, there's the formula to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you actually are
But
going
then
for
there's
at least some
different
level of repeatability.
Yeah, but it does change if I don't,
Anytime you want,
something on hand.
on a whim. Good. No, I appreciate that. Well, let's
All
taste
those
it.
leftovers from chocolates, all those test batch leftovers. No, I'm totally teasing.
Toss it in the
But,
tempering machine. All
yes.
right. So my
I
office
taste-
is a little warm. So let's let everyone see mine for those that don't have it.
Oh, I already broke mine up.
That's totally fine.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm gonna hold it up to the microphone, see if it snaps in there. It's a little warm. Can you guys hear it?
will.
Did that snap? All right.
Like your fingers.
Nice. It's good. Yeah, I was a little worried with it being kind of warm in my office here.
This will be a good contrast with the Tanzania too.
For sure. This is what I've been looking forward to, is eating chocolate online and then like talking to the internet with chocolate
Do
in
we
my
just
mouth.
stare at each other like this while we're doing it?
No, but smile really big. With chocolate in your teeth.
Oh, I didn't smell it. I know what it smells like.
Been there before, have you? Yeah. That's really earthy, nutty. Doesn't doesn't bring out like not a lot of fruity flavors. Getting a lot of
No.
comments from people saying things like it's well, people pointing out that it's got a great snap. And that it's like just a beautiful earthy bar. It's no wonder why this
Thank you.
won. Which year did it win the Chocolate Society tournament? I think it was our fourth one. So like 4 or 5 years
Was
ago.
it?
I ain't mad.
Yeah, it's a nice one. And it's a good one to start people with who say they don't like dark chocolate because the finish doesn't have any sort of bite. It's just lovely.
Yeah.
And then as you eat more and more little pieces,
And you said this is your best seller.
yes, we sell more of this than anything.
Does that hold for bars and for chefs, or is that just for?
Well, overall, I make more Wasatch than
Okay.
any other. Yeah. Yes, as far as restaurants go, Wasatch is the most, sell more to restaurants than the other origins that I sell for culinary use.
Okay.
But also bars, followed by Madagascar, just so you know.
Madagascar is your next highest seller.
Second. Yeah. Sometimes I think they're neck and neck, but then when I go back and look, I'm like, no, it was Wasatch again.
It's probably
Followed
because of that
by
word I made.
Uganda.
Oh yeah. I do love Uganda.
Yeah, and then the others are all pretty neck and neck after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jenny's saying this batch is even more or a little more nutty than the bulk that they have in their pantry. It's yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's a great bar.
Well, and I do use Ghana in it.
Okay.
And going back to the Ghana, each shipment can vary quite a bit. So sometimes it's got a lot of coconut notes going on. Other times it's more subtle, but it's always so good.
Yeah.
It's always really good. So that might be part of the variation too.
Yeah, Whitney
into
said
the
it's buttery like a Ritz cracker, which I can totally see.
Ooh, I like that. Let me try it again.
I'd have to crinkle mine to get more. I should
And
have taken out half the bar so Carrie and I could each have 2 squares. C'est la vie. All right. We all like this one?
still working on
I
it.
need to hold it like this so everyone can.
Yes.
So for those
There you
wondering why I have such terrible aim holding things up to the camera, it's not mirrored. It's like the way you guys see it, and my brain is too small for this. That's how it is. All right, let's talk about Cocoa Camille. Is that how they say it? Cocoa?
Yeah.
Is that
Cocoa Camille?
they say cocoa or cocoa?
I say Cocoa Camille. I
Have you
think
heard
that's how
Simran
they
say it?
I'm sure I have, but I didn't. He must say it like I do because I didn't notice he was saying it differently.
I've been saying cocoa, and then I heard someone say cocoa, someone that I think probably knows
Cocoa?
better than me, and I was like, have I
Well,
been saying
they
it wrong?
also say zebra instead of zebra. Zebra. So
They called the letter Z
when
Zed,
we were in Africa,
weirdos.
there's a zebra.
Yeah.
So
Oh, we got a question, but what do we mean by Uganda? That's cocoa beans
Oh.
from. Oh, Sherry answered that. Yeah, it's cocoa beans from the country of Uganda, and
yes,
that's the bar that when you're roasting the beans smells like banana bread, right?
it does. It does. And when it's conching, it smells like we're baking banana bread. No joke, and it's crazy. But then when it's done, you don't taste bananas or banana bread.
Right.
So
Yeah, I mean it's got a little bit of bread, but not really banana bread. So you put
No.
some Uganda in the Wasatch?
Yes.
Okay,
A little bit.
a little bit.
Yeah, there's different ratios.
Nice. And then
Yeah.
you're still doing the normal straight Uganda bar as well, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I love that bar. And I feel no need to try to pick a favorite because whatever I feel like, I just go get.
Yep.
So Tanzania, this one kind of burst onto the scene just not too long ago. I think Solstice is one of the first brands to put out a Tanzania in America, right?
I believe so. Yes. As soon as I heard that the beans were available, I hurried and snagged a test batch and then went, "Oh, this is our next bar."
So what's the story
Yeah.
there? You got to visit Tanzania
did.
recently.
good thing we did when we did.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be. Yeah, glad it happened last year. Wouldn't be happening this year for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh
But
goodness.
yeah,
Uh,
yes,
what
we
uh,
did.
what about Tanzania had you so excited to try those beans?
Just something completely different.
Ah,
I mean, there was Madagascar, and we had Uganda. It was one of our very first bars, along with Wasatch. So we had Madagascar, Uganda, and Wasatch. Those were our three first bars. Then we went Ecuador, and then Bolivia.
okay.
So those were our basic bars. So it was fun to see something new, and we thought we've got to try it. And it was so bright and fun and
Right.
exciting. And I just got to tell you, I love African beans. They're so easy to work with. Like
Yeah.
they really are.
And delicious. How's the price?
Yes, and
Is the price pretty good for you?
they're
They're not Chihuahua price.
higher end.
Yeah.
No, no, but they're not like, yeah, no, they're up there. Yeah,
Okay. Nice. Now, how
you're a very high end bean.
okay.
Yes.
How much does the flavor of the cacao play into the color of your packaging?
Um, Not always, because obviously, like our Ecuador Camino Verde is yellow.
Right.
Package is yellow.
This one though.
But well, once colors are taken, you gotta just find one that works.
Right. This one seems so apt.
But it was perfect for it. So here it is, and it's because so when we come up with tasting notes, as you know, Brian, because sometimes you're part of this, just get a group of chocolate friends, people
Nerds.
who are nerds, yeah, love chocolate. And people who I know I trust their tastes, and they're very good at it, like throwing ideas out. And we sit around and come up with tasting notes. And if it is a consensus that more than a few people taste the same thing, then that goes on our package. But it's not set in stone. People taste different things,
Right.
because our palates are all different. So anyway, orange at the time we didn't have, and we got a lot of floral notes like honeysuckle from it, and it's just bright and fruity like cherries and lemon, and kind of
I
got a
remember
lot of wine notes.
I remember
to
early
it,
on
and so-
getting kind of an apricot flavor as well. And maybe a psychosomatic from seeing the package and like thinking that color.
Maybe.
I didn't
Yeah.
get persimmon from it, so maybe it wasn't psychosomatic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Before we
So-
taste this one, Karen asks, what do you mean by easy to work with versus other beans being less easy?
Oh, they're fermented so well. Like they're just easy to make a bar out of. For
Okay.
one, I mean,
Like they've dyed that they've already
But-
taken out a lot of the astringency and things. Is that what you mean?
oh, well, you've smelled the roasted Tanzania
Yeah.
cacao. I mean, you smell the bar. So that's one where, like the Uganda, the banana bread thing. But with Tanzania, you smell, you know it's that bar. So make it into chocolate, and it stays pretty consistent.
Interesting.
But what I mean by easy to work with, or I love to work with it, is they just flow. They're not finicky. Like you could
Oh, okay. So
temper
physically.
Madagascar. Yes. So you could temper Madagascar 3 or 4 different temperatures, and it's going to be perfect every time. Other South American beans are really finicky and harder to work with. So because we don't use lecithin, so a lot of it is how the beans flow.
Okay.
And then as you know about mouthfeel, some chocolate ends up with like a cocoa powder feel in your mouth, like our Ecuador, and Uganda does it sometimes as well.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how long you conch it. That's just a characteristic of the bean.
Little dry.
And right, I don't think it has as much cocoa butter.
Right.
I mean, that's that's me saying that. I haven't done any testing, but just working with it,
Right.
it's thicker, so it doesn't flow as well as a fattier bean.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
and they're all just so good and unique, and
right.
yeah. So you ready to eat some?
I am. Sean pointed out that when he was first trying Ecuador, he actually got banana flavor, so the yellow made sense to him.
That's okay. So when we sit around and do that, so many people tasted banana that I threw it in, even though I don't taste banana at all. So I was like, okay, I'll put it there. And then the yellow worked well with that.
Nice.
So, but now in comparison to the Wasatch, you get bright and fruity. And what I love about the Tanzania is it changes from beginning to end.
Nice.
Like it's just beautiful. Starts out like wine and changes and then ends completely different.
It has that. Yeah. There's like a feeling that you get in your mouth when you eat certain stone fruit that I get from this. And it has some of those, it has like the light honeysuckle kind of flavor, and then like more of a richer flavor with it as well. There's a reason why this one won our tournament 2 years in a row. How'd that snap?
And it's creamy. It's creamy. This one flows really well. So I think the bean has a higher percentage of cocoa butter. This one flows really nicely too when working with it.
Sean's doing some nerdy research, and he says that Meridian says it has 56%. I'm guessing you mean fat there, Sean. And then Jenny,
which is high.
Different Jenny, is asking what makes the chocolate taste or feel grainy.
It can just be a characteristic of the bean. So the Ecuador, I think it's like how much cocoa butter is in there. It's not necessarily husk either. Just sometimes that you get that cocoa powder feel that you're left with.
Right.
And I'm not sure why that happens, but some have it more than others. And I really think mostly it has to do with the cocoa butter, like I said, because molding Ecuador cacao or chocolate,
right?
It's like ganache. Like it doesn't flow out of the machine and flow. Thicker. It sits like ganache. You just got to bake in the mold and everything. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, definitely. So
June is asking how your chocolate is so consistently good. I don't know. Maybe she's trying to like rustle some free stuff out of you. I don't know. I'm just kidding, June. But you are really consistent with your bars. So what's your secret?
A lot of it is how they're fermented.
Okay.
So I just got a new crop of Bolivia, which Brian did taste.
Yes, I did.
It's still conching. But we think it's more fruity. So crops differ.
Right.
But some are very, very consistent. Like this one is always consistent. And if there are changes, like with Madagascar, it's so subtle most people don't notice.
Right. We've got
but then other small farms, it will vary quite a bit. But most things that we've started making and they're permanent, they've stayed very consistent just because of how they're fermented.
Nice.
Yeah.
Katie pointed out that this one feels cooler on the palate, which seems to indicate a higher fat content, which checks out. That's corroboration.
Yeah.
Bravo.
At first, it's very, silky.
Yes.
Oh,
Jenny's very happy that there's some more Bolivia. So we want to do another one of these in a few weeks with DeAnn, another live stream with her new Bolivia crop. So, let's see. Barry is asking, how well does your chocolate sell outside of Utah? What state buys the next most chocolate? Do you know?
Oh, that's a tough question. I'm not sure.
Is that a question for your distributor?
I should know. Probably distributor. I know where my chocolate goes that I sell on my site, and it's all over. Yeah. But mostly, if people are on here, New York.
Okay.
Um, California, specifically San Francisco area. They know
Makes
who
sense.
they are if they're watching. Like this whole group of people
Yeah, yeah.
tell other people and they all start
Right.
ordering.
I bet
And
Renee's
then
involved with that.
quite a bit to Florida, actually.
Interesting.
And then Seattle, Washington, definitely. So it's almost like the four corners of
Of the
the
country.
US. And then
So
some in
Florida
between,
man.
like Indiana, Kansas.
Right.
Yeah,
So when
few
Florida
in there,
man's
here
not
and
making
there.
ridiculous headlines about crazy crimes, he's buying lots of great chocolate. Good job, Florida man. Well, let's get into the last one. The
Okay.
So I had to open mine up to get the chocolate out,
Okay.
so we don't do
Well,
the ASMR crinkle. So this
it's
is
hard to see because it is in a clear package.
right.
So
But this is your
it's
Tanzanian beans that you've
this
done in
is
milk
10
chocolate. Very limited production,
May.
is that right?
For now,
For
yeah.
now, we'll see how
So
it goes.
with everything going on, we've just been trying to do fun things with what we have on hand, just to keep things interesting.
Right. That checks
Plus,
out.
people have been asking since we did it at Chocolate Society, since we did our milk chocolate night.
You see that?
Yeah.
Chocolate Society did something good for the world.
They get what they want, don't they?
And we does as we've told. So
Yes. And
this one
so
percentage.
This is 52%.
Okay. So that's a little bit less dark than your other dark milks.
Right.
What
But
drove
it's
that?
still, well, with the milk, it's quite a bit different.
Okay.
There's a lot of test batches that go on
Okay.
with that, just to get the right percentage as far as sugar and milk. And some taste better with a little less cacao and a little more sugar, and others taste.
Do you,
When
do you
Chocolate
talk much about the
Society
ratios?
night, we had.
Like,
Do what?
do you talk much about the ratio of how much of the difference, in this case, the 48%, is milk powder versus sugar? Do you talk about that, or is that something you hold close to the vest?
No,
Oh,
I don't talk
secret.
about that.
Good. Makes it very exciting. Well,
Mm-hmm.
let's eat it, DeAnn. Let's see how this one snaps.
Oh, I've had way too much already, but yeah. Your room must be warm. Let's see if my room's any better.
It is pretty warm. Oh,
No.
I could hear that. With the headphones, I couldn't even hear this one break, so hopefully it
Oh,
transferred through the mic. Goodness.
so it's really fun to see taste the dark first and see the flavor profile, and then see what happens when you add milk. And I do use vanilla in the milk chocolate. It just helps bring out the flavors.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
Do you roast
but
it
not
different?
not a lot.
Is this the same roast as the dark?
You're asking so many questions.
You don't have to answer.
Yeah, it can vary. Yeah.
So June's asking, what
I want to know
percentage-
what people taste, those who have
Well,
are
before we
trying
bring in
it
other
right now.
people's tasting, I get
Uh-huh.
it comes across as considerably brighter to me, but I also get like some kind of spice flavors. I'm still trying to pinpoint what they are. Maybe a little bit of allspice.
Do you?
But then it's
Okay.
also,
I'm
it
gonna
seems
write
maybe slightly fruitier.
Mm-hmm.
But June's asking what percentage it changes from light to dark. There's not really a light chocolate. If there's any milk at all, technically it's milk chocolate, right?
Right, but I think from what my understanding is, anything above 50 is considered a dark milk chocolate.
Okay. If it has milk
So
in it at all.
50 and above. So I know when there's like competitions, chocolate competitions, or I think the categories for dark milk have to be 50 or above.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jenny says that she thinks the flavor deepens with the milk. Like maybe the fruitiness isn't as strong, which is kind of funny because it seems to me like the the fruity flavor is maybe a little bit pronounced. It has this kind of fruit and cream vibe.
But are you
Makes
comparing
sense.
it to the other dark milks, maybe, and not necessarily the dark
I'm
Tanzania?
I'm just thinking about it compared to what we just had in the dark Tanzania. But Julie McKee is asking what the favorite bar is for you and for me. I am too fickle for that. You have a favorite? What's your favorite today? What did you reach for first today? Because I know you were eating some.
Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fair enough.
It's probably what's ever new.
Whatever is new and exciting to you.
There are 54% dark milk that uses Ghana beans. That one is my very favorite.
Is that because you're out of the Bolivia? Because that one.
Well,
is
I love
amazing.
that one too. Don't ask me. Like, I
So
love them all. If I don't love it, I won't make it.
that's fair.
So even though I said I like more earthy versus fruity,
Hmm.
I do. I love them all. Like sitting here with the Tanzania, I'm usually working and, tasting as the batches go, but like sitting here, eating a bite, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's so good.
Do you
I
have a
really love this.
Do you have a favorite chocolate ever? Could you pin one down like that?
No, I don't think so. No.
Does it bother
Although
you?
that,
Or do you just
does it
say,
bother
I
me?
better have another one to see if that one's it? That's kind of my take. I think my favorite's whichever I'm holding.
Whatever I'm molding, tempering at the time is usually my favorite.
Good.
Because I'm eating it at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense, especially when you're
Yeah.
over in the milk room.
Mhm.
'Cause you,
Oh, okay. So go ahead.
no,
In the
no,
milk
hit me.
room?
I was just going to point out that for those that don't know, you keep the all milk chocolate, white chocolate totally separate from the whole supply chain of the dark
Yes.
chocolate, so that your dark
Yes.
chocolate is totally 100% allergen free aside from the cacao itself.
Correct.
Oh,
Correct.
and Jenny's asking if you put vanilla in all your milk bars.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then
Thus
you've got
far,
some,
they all have vanilla.
right?
Well,
You've got a
so
little paper there.
because this is kind of chocolate society, I grabbed our little note card.
Oh,
Remember
nice.
when we did our milk night?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
made sure to keep these. This is like my favorite thing. These people are so funny.
Uh-oh. What do we have there?
Just the things people write.
Good.
But so we did milks out of pretty much most origins,
Okay.
plus some others that I don't make dark bars out of.
Right.
And they were all different percentages, but we put them out and tasted a dark chocolate and then that same cacao made into milk chocolate.
Okay.
Just to see the flavors like we
Right,
did
right.
here. You taste, the dark and then the light and see what flavors come out. And that night was really fun. I loved that. I liked them all, but that was a really extra fun one.
That was
And then
delicious,
people,
too.
15 people there. I only let people vote for one. So 15, I don't think this was the very favorite, but it was close. I mean, we had like 50 people there. So to have 15, that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
So what people wrote, I had them write what people said: caramel, banana, honey. Then somebody wrote creamy. Does that mean it tastes like cream or it's creamy? That's like saying what flavor snow cone do you want, and somebody says red. Like, it's
Well,
not a flavor.
I mean, the texture is very creamy, especially with
Creamy.
what I'm assuming is a
Okay.
higher milk
It said-
content. But
It said tasting notes, though.
that counts. Psh.
Creamy. Okay.
Tasting is a
Then we-
multi-sensory experience.
I know.
I stand by that.
That's why I love this. Creamy, fruity, graham crackers, hazelnut, not quite cherry. That's also one of my favorite
So
tasting
it's cherry adjacent. Good.
notes. Not quite cherry.
Nice.
Somebody put caramelized banana, passion fruit, then caramel.
Huh. We
And
had
there's
someone
a
just say
chocolate-
caramel in
there's
the
a
comments.
chocolate smudge all over it.
I imagine there's a lot of chocolate smudges that night. We're
Yeah.
touching chocolate and then touching paper. I
Yeah.
I
Yeah. It's
take no
fun.
blame for this. This is just say you're welcome. Well, I'm curious
Time.
before we wrap up. I was wondering if you have any particular takeaways from your trip to Tanzania and the cocoa farm there that you'd like to share with us.
Um, oh, there's so much. I just really appreciate it, and even more than I did. The travel just to get there was exhausting. 7 hours on a bumpy road. I have video, and we're all just bouncing around like this in this car, and you had to go fast. It's the only way to make it smooth. If you went slow.
Good.
And
taking the whoops.
and I had separated my ribs
Oh.
like a week before I left.
Perfect.
And I thought, okay, I'm kind of feeling better, but man, that just beat the crud out of me. And it
brutal.
was bad. But yeah, and I mean, it was just for them to travel in and do this, it's a lot of work. And then just the people there were fantastic that work there. And we went out and met farmers around, and I think there's almost 4,000 farmers that bring their beans to Coco Camili, where they're fermented, and then see the workers and see how organized it is and how it works. And
so they've got a lot of output.
They do. Yeah.
Do all those beans get kind of brought together and mixed together, or are they separating some of the farms out, or?
They just organic. They separate organic versus I forgot what they end up calling it, but they're in different colored bags. Taste the same. They're just keep those separate, but the flavors are all very similar. And
nice. Very cool. Can we see what these comments are here?
Great experience. Sure.
We've got a few comments here. Let's see. So Sean's saying that he looked it up, and some cacao tastes cooler based on various amounts of different fats and how hard that fat is at room temp. I called that one a few years ago.
Okay.
The closer to the equator the cacao is, the harder the fat will be. Interesting. That must mean that it has a higher molecular weight. I wonder why that would be. And then we've got someone.
McKee? You're talking McKee.
Of course. I said Sean, and that's very nerdy. It's only McKee. Thank you, Sean. Then we've got someone named Daniel Foster saying that.
He's our San Francisco guy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hi, Daniel. Well, thanks for joining us. He said, even as a fancy chocolate lover who prefers 70+%, the Solstice 54% dark milk. Oh, this is his coworker. The 54% dark milk is hands down the best chocolate I've ever had. I will pay black market prices for the 54% at this point, which thankfully is not yet necessary. But
well, I'm out of packaging, so I think that's where that person's heading with that.
So Daniel, your coworker, should reach out to DeAnn and offer black market pricing for black market packaging. Just throwing that out there. And Sean was pointing out that he was looking at a book called The Science of Chocolate by Stephen T. Beckett. Mm-hmm. So if people want to get nerdy there with Sean, good luck. And that's how to do it.
I believe I have that book.
Oh, nice. We should... Well, so some of the other things I want to do in these live streams is get nerdy with Sean and bring Kevin in and talk about the neuroscience of tasting chocolate.
There you go. Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. Well, any closing thoughts for us, DeAnn?
No, I don't think so.
You're going to have some good Bolivia for us in a few weeks when we meet back with you?
Sure. Yeah, excellent. And then the Bolivia milk will be back, which is so good.
Bless you.
I miss that. We'll see what happens with this new crop, because it really has a toffee.
Yeah. That
toffee flavor to it, milk. And kind of goes a little mocha.
Okay.
We'll see what happens with the brighter Bolivia crop. Nice. The other thing with that too is I was only able to get 6 bags. Bolivia is kind of a nightmare when it comes to getting cacao. It's
buy up all of
lot of unrest going on there and things make it difficult. So we'll see how long that lasts, but we'll we'll do some milk out of it.
As bittersweet as it may sound, we're going to try to make it last as little as possible.
Well, yeah.
Go team.
Yeah.
We got some people wanting to do a nerdy chocolate book club, which could be fun. Well,
Chocolate book?
Chocolate book club. Talking
Like
about
read a
the science of chocolate.
Book on chocolate?
Yeah, basically. Nice. So apparently DeAnn's not invited, unless you bring chocolate, in which case you're invited. Well, let's, everyone, I hope all of you enjoyed this. DeAnn, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you everybody for joining. You're very welcome.
Also,
yes.
Also, these bundles will still be available all month.
Great point.
So if people want to still purchase and see what we're talking about and taste it. And I do love feedback on the milk. I mean, if it's really popular, I'll keep making it.
Cool. Yeah, this video is going to stay up, at this point, indefinitely.
Okay.
So, yeah, great news for people that want to join in later. Or just revisit the magic once they've run out. So.
Okay. Sounds good.
Great.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Brian.
Thank you so much for being on.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody, for joining me. If you've enjoyed this and want more conversations like this, again, please subscribe and hit that bell icon. And for more information on Solstice Chocolate, including being able to buy all their bars, make sure to check out their website, solsticechocolate.com. And for my website, with my podcast and hopefully some merch, including this fun shirt that Katie painted for me.
Awesome. Love it.
Call it Theobroma Sky. I'll have that shirt up soon. My website is chocolatefascination.com, and both of those are linked down below. If you have any comments, I would love comments down in the section or the comment section of this video. I'll look forward to checking them out. Again, thanks for coming on here. Thank you, everybody, and stay safe out there. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.